missed when you didn't exist. I am Corbett, and I am 53.
And I'm Lucy, and I am 24. The rhythm is
You had to
off.
think about that. Yeah, it is. But the beat goes on.
Oh, yeah.
That is actually what we're talking about today. The beat going on. The heartbeat, that is, because this is the Valentines show. Ba-bam.
Boom, boom,
And what better to talk about than one of America's sweetheart couples from the 70s, Sonny and Cher. Specifically the Sonny and Cher show, which was from 1971 to 1974. Sonny and Cher were pretty iconic, and if you don't know Cher, you may not know Sonny, but you will definitely have heard of Cher because she's still around.
Yes, true.
But they were both music icons from the 60s doing folk stuff. And The Beat Goes On is, of course, a reference to a song that they did together and that Sonny actually had put on his tombstone.
Wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
spoiler, Sonny's already passed away.
Yeah, sad days.
Sonny Bono, specifically. And Cher, Cher's name was Cheryl. I know that. Cheryl Skanathis Sarkisian? I'm probably not saying it right.
I think it's Sarkeesian.
Sarkeesian.
Yeah, her last name. Sherilyn Sarkeesian would be my guess.
Well, now we know.
That would be my guess, if she's also like Armenian.
But her original name was Cheryl, and she cut it to Cher, and just that she's always known as Cher, and that kind of inspired a lot of people to just like, I'm just a single name. That's all it has to be. It's funny looking back because doing the follow-up research on the show, I was like, oh yeah, she's Cherokee. She's a Cherokee descendant or something, and it's like she's kind of bits and pieces. She's a very American person.
Yeah.
Her dad was an Armenian American, so it means his parents were probably Armenian directly.
Mm.
Then her mother was like English, German, and Cherokee.
Mm.
So she has Cherokee in her blood, like a lot of Americans do. Probably not as much as I always thought, because she does she had 2 or 3 like very Native American songs. But as a couple, they did a show in the early 70s that was basically a comedy variety show where Sonny and Cher would come out and essentially rib each other and tell jokes and then sing songs together. They would always come out singing a song. I remember this. And granted, I saw them more in reruns than at the time because in 71, I was born. but I still am very, very much aware of it. And the show was pretty fun. And they were quite the couple. They would always like jab at each other. She would always play off of his height as like the ultimate joke. And then he would usually fall on his face and kind of take it on the chin because he wanted to play the goof, and he was good at it. He was very good at the comedy, and Cher was very good at being aloof, so it worked out well. And I made you watch a show. I made you like go on YouTube and just look it up, which anybody can. What was your opinion of the show? Did you watch the whole show, or did you just like watch 5 seconds? Like, I'm done.
No, I sat down and watched I looked on YouTube and I saw that they had the first show, the one that aired August 1st of 1971. Mm-hmm. And I was watching it. I watched the whole thing all the way through. It's like 51 minutes, I think.
Good for you.
I know. It was nice. But unfortunately, when I was watching it, I had it on as kind of like background, I guess.
It's okay.
Because I was trying to watch it, and I was trying really, really hard, but the comedy for me wasn't that funny, I guess. Because it's like the old comedy where it's like, it is jab at you comedy, but
yeah,
it was because they're married and because they were a couple, it just seemed like petty and passive aggressive, and so that made me not want to watch it, because I knew that if I saw that with people that were in a relationship now, I'd be like, oh, I need to leave, something's about to go down, like I shouldn't be here to watch this.
Well, technically they did it for 4 years, and just a bit of a spoiler too, they got divorced like the year after. So I wouldn't say it was 100% not petty and passive aggressive. But I will say I noticed, because I rewatched a couple episodes, it was good to revisit it and kind of retouch it. I will say Sonny really took it on the chin a lot. Like it was at the time, it was too easy for a guy to make fun of a woman and her just take it.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to imagine, but there was a time when if you made fun of a woman and put her down, yeah, you were probably a really funny guy to a select few people, but not as many at the time, and probably I would hope not as many now at all. It's like smoking. It was a thing that everybody did at one point and then it passed.
Mhm.
And I think it was easier to let her be aloof and kind of, oh, you're just short. And him like, oh, I'm short. and then go with it. And he would have a few like pops that he would throw back, but it was always supposed to be with him kind of faltering and her succeeding. I don't know if that was a thing that they came up with or just a routine they got used to doing or just as a married couple the way they did it. I think they got married back in the 60s because they started off as a folk couple in the early
They were
60s.
married from 64 to 75.
Okay. And they still worked together after they were married. So it wasn't like they hated each other, but they were kind of tired of each other.
Mhm.
I think they had one child, was Chaz?
2. Well,
Two?
Sonny and Cher had, like, a child, and then Cher had a child with Greg Allman later.
Okay. Well, so they had a child. It was Chaz, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think it was Chaz.
Yes.
I will admit I'm kind of faltering on that. But the show was really simple. They came out as a couple singing, almost immediately singing. Never like, hey, we're here and we're going to sing this song. They came out singing every time. I do remember that. And then they would break either partway through the song or at the end of the song and then do a comedy bit and then do like the chorus of the song one more time. And then the show was kind of underway. The show was always comedy skits that were put together. Guests would be on as sort of secondary people in it. There was at least two or three other musical numbers, usually by the couple or by whoever the musical guest was, or the guest who was also a musician of some sort. And there was some funny stuff. It's a little dated for even for me. I look at it and like, yeah, I get it. It's the joke of the time. You know, it's kind of the bum 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 type stuff that like I still enjoyed, and it's these kind of shows that are what led to Saturday Night Live, which is now the barump bump bump kind of stuff currently because
Yeah.
everybody goes to YouTube. I don't really find it like offensive or like, oh, this is so outdated and so terrible. I think that they work as a couple and they play off of each other well as a couple. Obviously, they work together even after that. So it wasn't really a hate relationship or a love hate relationship. It was just like we grew apart, and people in the business kind of do. So
No, that's true. I will say it was still good, even if it was something that typically it takes a show a while for me to watch until I can comfortably have it playing in the background. But I know that me having playing it in the background, I'm not really missing too much just because it is mostly musical or not musical in like that sense, but you're just listening to the sounds and you're trying the songs and quick laughs and that kind of stuff. So it's not something I need to sit in front of the TV or else I'm going to miss something, that kind of
yeah, that's true.
thing. And so it was nice to have it on as background. It's still interesting to look at Sonny and Cher because I can tell that it's the 70s, but Cher's face has not really changed too much. You could, like, the plastic surgery has kind of set in pretty well for her. I can tell she's trying to look the way that she did during the show. And she's still gorgeous and still so iconic, and it's awesome. But it's also like, my goodness, she has aged, but also not aged because of what she
Well,
has
she
done to her
hasn't.
face.
It's obvious well, maybe she hasn't had plastic surgery. She's just that lucky. There are people who are,
Yeah.
but I would bet she's had plastic surgery.
Yeah.
She has kept her looks, I think, pretty well. Sonny went on to become a congressman, actually.
Which is such a career change. My goodness.
Honestly, I don't think so. As the guy who's trying to be the funny one on the show, I could see his brain turning, like with every joke and trying to make sure to hit his mark. And there's even jokes in the show where he would fumble and they would keep the fumble of, like Cher's like, well, you messed that up. I'm like, well, let me try it again. And he'll just say it again on the show that's being recorded. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it's obvious he's thinking through and putting a lot of effort to it. He was a smart guy. I think it wasn't until the Sonny and Cher show that he grew his iconic mustache. They put that in the Wikipedia. I noticed like his iconic mustache, which I will admit I do remember him more with the mustache because
Mhm.
I had the Sonny and Cher like first couple albums and he was shaven. I really only remember him with the mustache because I was watching as a kid. I was seeing him on Scooby Doo because he was showing up. Sonny and Cher would show up in like guest appearances on the Scooby Doo show. And he grants a cartoon, but he had the mustache, so I knew who he
Oh,
was.
yeah.
And I noticed, and that was when I noticed too, they like really exaggerated Cher's height and Sonny's height to make him much smaller and her much taller. And she's 5'7", he's 5'5". But the joke that she would always use is his height. Like, "Oh, well, why don't you stand up and show him how big a man you are?" It's like, "I am standing up." That sort of joke, which is an old Monkees joke, but still.
Yeah.
But yeah, he went on to serve in the House of Representatives, I think for California, I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure. Yeah, he was the mayor of Palm Springs, and then he passed away in a skiing accident, if I remember correctly.
Yes. It says he died on a resort
Yeah,
and he hit a tree.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, that'll do it.
You know how many people hit trees and live? A lot of people.
There's guys who hit the bumper pads on the chairlifts, and they don't make it. So
Mm.
yeah, skiing is dangerous, people. But he was an entertainer, he was a musician, and he served the public. So good for him.
Mm.
Cher basically was a singer and an entertainer, but she was still always popular musical wise. She was always in the spotlight on some level.
Yeah, they made sure to point that out a lot on the show. It was like she needed to have her moment. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, we get it.
yeah, that's true. She had her spotlight single every so often. I
Hmm.
forgot about that. Yeah. Eh, anyway, so that was them in the 70s. Have you even heard of them? I mean, you've heard of Cher, right?
Yeah, and I heard of Sonny and Cher, but I never understood referencing it because I watched Friends and they had that Sonny and Cher costume that they did, I think, that one
Hmm.
time. Or maybe it was in How I Met Your Mother, where they had the Sonny and Cher like costume bit. But I never really heard much of Sonny because he died in 98. Regardless, he died before I was born.
He died in 98. You are correct.
So he died before I was born, and I didn't really hear much about it. I really only knew Cher because of the few songs that I had heard, and then she was in the new Mamma Mia was the first time I really saw her, and I was like, "Oh, that's Cher" on
That's right.
television.
That's right.
So I just haven't really seen her a lot, but I do love her voice. She's very
Yeah.
iconic, and she's awesome.
No, totally. Great voice. You know something I didn't realize until I'm just flicking back and forth and looking at their stats and stuff?
Mhm.
They are about 10 years apart.
Yeah.
Sonny was born in 35,
And she was born in 46.
46. So I was like, wow, there's a pretty big age difference there.
Yeah.
She was just starting, he was giving her the direction to go with. I can, that's why I'm saying, I'm thinking he was more the, well, that sounds mean to say he's the brains behind it. But he was the planner. He was the planner
Yeah.
and thinking it out, and she was just like the talent, was
Mhm.
ready to go and do it. And I'm sure she learned a lot from him because they were together for quite a while. Eh,
Yeah.
I guess other than seeing her in Mamma Mia, you really didn't have any real references or any like she had no major impact on you at all.
I
I
mean,
would guess.
I would say she has more of an impact on me now later in life since I know her more. You guys weren't really into Cher that I know of. It was more, I want to say, like classic rock and old Western stuff, other than like my, Jonas Brothers that I popped on and that little mix of stuff. But she has such a huge impact on society today. I would say she's a huge influence. She's a greater influence on the LGBTQ community. So many
Well,
people
yeah.
do her for drag, which is awesome.
Well, she's very much a counterpart to Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Because Dolly Parton does almost the difference is that Dolly Parton does a heck of a lot of charitable stuff, and not that Cher doesn't. She does charitable stuff, but Dolly Parton has a massive amount of stuff she's doing,
Mhm.
and Cher does her part. She does her part.
Yeah, I think it's just she is cool. I don't know how much charity work she does, like you said, but I think she's huge impact in terms of the LGBTQ community. Her music is always awesome. I think the Sonny and Show share was fun. I think it definitely is a reason that they was popular at the time. Yeah, you're right. It did not age very well.
Oh, there were some jokes that just didn't. They weren't. I didn't see any rewatching it. I didn't see anything that was like, "Whoa, that is so bad."
Well, yeah.
But like, there's stuff that's like, "Well, that's not. That doesn't have the same comedy padumph you expect." And back then, it did.
Yeah, but I did like their renditions of all the different songs that they would sing, and it was surprisingly high tech in 71 because they were able to do, I guess, that green screen effect where, because the first episode, she's like singing on top of the piano, And that's when they introduced her Cleopatra bit and the Pocahontas bit, her, oh goodness, trying to like be a spy, I guess. I don't remember what it was, but they had all of her in like together at the same time, like in her different costumes.
Mhm.
I was watching it and I'm like, whoa, this is like really high tech because it was her. It wasn't like body
Yeah.
doubles or anything. And she was just like doing the dancing, singing bit. So it was fun.
Well, it was the '70s, and they were leaning into the disco era.
Mm,
So that was going to start having a lot of effect on the way technology was going to work with music. And music had to start putting on a show. Before the '70s, people would just show up and there would be a band with like the tiniest little speakers and they would start screaming
mhm,
and you couldn't even hear the band play. And then I really want to say Kiss made that big change where their stage show had to be a stadium event. They were the ones who first put that in. But then every performer would follow suit, and like they had massive speakers and giant light shows and pyrotechnics and stuff that went with it.
oh,
So yeah, we'll probably cover Kiss at some point too. But anyway,
yeah,
but they were putting on the television version of that. They were putting out a higher end quality comedy show because the two of them worked pretty well as a comedy duo. But I mean, they were also a really good musical duo at that point. They had kind of proven themselves.
mhm.
But anyway, I think that's the show.
I think so.
So I guess happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And the beat goes on.
Bubble, bubble.